Okay, so in my trip down memory lane here, reminded me of things from back in the day. With the cooler thing I got today, it reminded me of what Dad and Mom used to use for their cooler. And that was an old styrofoam cooler. And so that was something that they would pick up for what, maybe $1 or two back in the day. Oh my gosh, I hope styrofoam coolers are not costing like $12 and $15 just by themselves. I haven't looked in a long time. I don't even know if they sell them anymore. Maybe they do at bait shops or something, because I know Dad used to keep worms in the styrofoam cooler. And there was times that I kind of remember Mom hollering a little bit or screaming a tiny bit at Dad. She was mad because we were going on a picnic and Dad put worms in our picnic cooler, which that was funny. And you could kind of tell it stunk and it smelled like worms and it smelled like fishing bait. So sometimes the fishing bait cooler got mixed up with the picnic cooler. I mean, we always had like at least two of them. I think eventually three, and then eventually as my parents started making more money, then we got a different kind of a cooler. But the majority of my childhood, though, we used styrofoam coolers. And, you know, sometimes they would end up with a little hole in them or something, and we would still use them. In fact, Grandma and Grandpa would have like tape on their styrofoam coolers. I remember plenty of people coming to family reunions with tape on their picnic cooler, because they would have a little duct tape or something on their styrofoam cooler. That was the only thing they had, and there was nothing that was open for them to go get a different cooler, so they had to use what they had. And, I kind of also remember coolers falling apart in the back seat of the car. They squeaked and made a the squeaking noise and everything, with the old-fashioned styrofoam coolers that were really, really expensive. And I was just thinking, they lasted a long time. In fact, I remember going on vacations, and I think when we took our big trip down to Florida, when I was how old was I? Like maybe about 14, 15 years old. I remember us using that cooler. And it would squeak. It would make a big squeaking noise, in the back seat. It'd be sitting on the floor, and one of us had to have our legs over it and around it. Eventually, we put it in the middle because my brother was little and in a car seat, so his legs didn't reach on it. But then he would kind of smash his legs up and down sometimes and run it on the cooler, and he'd get in trouble then because he was smashing his legs on the styrofoam cooler. And Mom would say, we don't want it to break. And so, yeah,